Hello everybody! Summer is here, the weather is nice, and summer reading program with Taylor Community Library is happening. This week, one of the activities is to go for a nature walk, and today I will be showing you some common and beneficial plants to identify while on your walks. I like to think of plants as like little friends, and it's so nice to be out someplace and recognize your plants and be like, oh hello little plant, you're doing your funky plant thing. So please remember to very carefully and accurately identify any plant before using or consumption. Remember to always harvest sustainably. Remember the rule of pick one, leave two. Alright, anyway, let's get walking. Okay, one of the first plants I'm going to show you here is one that you will want to avoid. This right here, see these guys? This is poison ivy. See, even the big one there. You can tell it's poison ivy because it's got leaves of 3. But there are a lot of plants that have leaves of 3. Poison ivy has the 2 back leaves really close together, almost touching. And then it's got 1 long stem. Usually the back leaves look like a mitten shape. I don't know if you can see here, it's kind of got like a little thumb, and then it's got fingers. Not always, but that I usually find tends to happen. Also the young leaves will look shiny. See the little ones there? They look just shiny and mean, usually a little bit reddish. So yep, here's some more poison ivy. It's got the 2 leaves close together. It's got 1 on a long stem, usually low growing, in this whole area. So we're gonna stay far away from this poison ivy. Oh, I see some that are really cool. This one's a really cool plant, guys. Here, let me turn the camera around to show you. Alright, so the plant friend I found here is horsetail. It is the equestitum, there we go, that's how you say it, species. And it is very high in silica and other minerals. And actually, this has been around since the dinosaur age, and the plant itself has changed very little from when dinosaurs were around. If you look closely, I don't know if my camera will focus. You can see the little joints everywhere there are leaves, and the little leaf spines, they're like in a circle. They're like in a whirl, kind of like the spokes of a wheel. So this is a very cool plant, and this plant you can also, like, if you were to pop it apart here, it will usually break right at the joints. Yep. Like will pop apart right at these joints here usually, especially when dried. When it's dried it pops apart really easily, and sometimes you can stick them back together like a tinker toy. But yeah, you can take this plant, and if you harvest it, it's best to harvest in the early spring before the leaves get too big and before they start drooping. Right now it's like just the end of the season where you can harvest it. And you can dry it to use for tea, or you can use it fresh for tea. Because it's high in silica, it's good for your hair and your bones. Also, if you mash this up into a poultice, you can put it on wounds and it will help stop the bleeding and it'll help the wounds heal. Isn't that cool? Alright, this plant here is called CLEAVERS. It is a Gallium apiarine. It's a gallium plant. And if you can, I don't know if you can see, but like it sticks like Velcro to things. Like, you can see that? It's got little sticky hairs on the undersides of the leaves and on the stems. That's one way you can know it's, you know, cleavers, because it cleaves and hooks onto your clothing and stuff. These little seeds, you can see the little balls there, the little seeds. Those will be like little burdock seeds, and they will stick to the clothing, and that's how they disperse their seeds when they're ready. They stick to everything. If you've got dogs, you know they've probably come in with these little burrs all over them before. You can see there's a bunch of little leaves in like a whorl shape around. Again, kind of like the last plant we looked at, the horsetail. It's around in a circle, and this has got an angular stem. You see the stem isn't round, it's got an angle to it. Cleavers you can use to make a poultice for mild wounds, for burns and insect bites and stings. It's really good for helping heal those. So just kind of like with the horsetail. You just take a handful, you mash it all up or you chew it up, and then you put it on the wound, and it will help relieve the sting or the burn. It can also be eaten raw, but these little prickers make it a little bit difficult and not quite a pleasant experience to eat. So it's better if you cook it. You can use it as a pot herb, put it in some soups or fry it up. Kind of like how you would like spinach or something. And yeah, it's actually, you know, got a very mild taste. Usually you harvest it earlier in the spring before it gets all the little seed pods on it, so this is a little late to harvest it right now. Alright, goodbye cleavers. Let's go find some more plants. Ooh, here's a good plant friend. Hello. This here is bergamot. Oh, let's let the camera focus. Bergamot is Monarda fistulosa. Monarda fistulosa. That's wild bergamot or wild bee balm. This is a mint family. You can feel it's got a square stem like all mint families do. And its leaves are one on either side, and the other side will grow up a little bit curled away, and so it'll like grow alternate leaves, but like in almost a spiral type pattern it looks like. They're like this way and then this way. Like they'll go up, crisscrossing each other. You can see the leaves are tall, or they're like pointy, they got a little bit of jagged edges. Again, it's got a square stem. And if you pick a leaf, it smells kind of citrusy. That's why it's got the name bergamot, because it will smell and taste so much like the bergamot citrus. So this is actually a really good one. I love picking bee balm and using it for tea. It makes an excellent tea. It has good calming properties as it is a nervine, so it's useful to calm anxiety and stress. It can be used in cooking. You just pick the leaves or the flowers. You can use the flowers, the leaves, and the stems, all aerial parts. It's all edible. In cooking, it's especially good for wild game when you use with apple cider vinegar, or a lot of people will use it and make jellies and jams with it. The tea is also a good herbal remedy against the cold and flu and nausea, as bergamot is antimicrobial and is soothing and aids the digestive system. So it's really good for the tummy. So it's also good for like calming, anxiety, calming your tummy. It's a very good plant. I love this plant so much. When it gets a little taller and later in the summer, you'll have big showy blooms of like kind of like a crazy funky hairdo of like purple or red. I believe because this is wild bergamot, it'll have like light purple and light pink, sort of like tubular shaped flowers all in a ring. So it's a really cool looking plant. Butterflies and hummingbirds love it. So yeah, I think I'm going to harvest a little bit of this and use it for tea later, because this is one of my favorite plants. So I'm just going to pick the tops off. And I'm just going to pick a couple. So just pinch like that. And we'll just pick some here. There we go, I got a good handful. Let me stick it in my bag. Alright, let's keep walking. Alright, here's another really good plant for first aid. It's called Plantago major, or its common name is plantain. This is the wide leaf variety. There's also a skinny leaf variety. These, you can see, usually they grow everywhere. You'll see them all over in fields, usually accompanied, like you see here, with clover. There's some white clover here. There's even some red clover over there. But this plant, we're going to look at the plantain here. They will grow in a rosette formation, so that's like in a little circle formation down here. So all the leaves will be coming out from one center point. So you have like a center point and the leaves will all just kind of come out from it, but flat on the ground. And let's take a closer look at the leaf here. Oh, where'd it go? So you can see it's got 5 deep ribs on the top. On the bottom, those same 5 ribs are the veins. So we've got 5 deep veins. This one's rounded, some are long and skinny. Ah, go away, mosquito. And if you break the plant, you can see like how I picked it here. There will usually be some little strings from the veins. They're very like elasticy. And this plant is really good for cuts, bug bites, little scrapes, especially bee stings. This has worked really well when we get bee stings. You take it and you mush the plant up into a poultice. It's either by tearing it up with your hands or chewing on it, and then you spit it out right onto the wound. You can also take another leaf and stick it on top like a band-aid. It's also nicknamed the band-aid plant. And this will actually draw out the stinger and poison from bites and stings, as well as help heal any wounds. So this is a really good plant to know, especially if you're out hiking a lot or out in nature a lot. You find this over in fields, you'll find this everywhere. It's a very common plant. I believe it is also nicknamed white man's footsteps because it was actually brought over from Europe when the European settlers came over here. So yeah, it's a really cool plant. A lot of times later in the summer, you'll get like these tall, skinny stems with little flower buds on top, little white flower buds. And those flowers will go to seed and you'll get psyllium. And that's actually a very good fiber supplement. Usually the fiber supplements that you get that's psyllium will come from like a plantain. So there's some cool information for you too. But yeah, this is a cool plant, a good plant friend. Plantain. Alright, and this one right here, this is wild grape. Notice it's almost heart-shaped leaf, but like with lots of deep tooths to it, so it's got lots of little pointy edges. Oh look, and there's some baby grapes. Itty bitty baby grapes, right there. So these are usually going to be ready late summer, early fall, and that's if you can get to them before the other animals do, all the wildlife. Yeah, this is wild grape. The only other look-alike for wild grape would be moonseed, and they look similar, except instead of having all these deep tooth edges on the leaf, their leaves are smooth. And moonseed is poisonous. They will grow berries like this, but grape seeds are like, you know what grape seeds are like. They're like little half moon shapes, and they're like round, whereas moonseed, they're flat and round. They're like a flat disc. Moonseed is poisonous, but wild grape is perfectly edible. You can even eat the leaves. Some people will roll up and do almost like a cabbage roll with grape leaves. We've also used the leaves to put on top of pickles when we're making pickles and fermenting pickles. So, yeah, wild grape is a pretty cool plant friend too. How about that? I love the little curlicue vines. They're so cute. I love little vine grabbers. Alright, so there's a wild grape. Let's leave him be and go find some more plants. Aha! This here is wild strawberry. Now this is one of those plants where people always get scared of because they say leaves of 3 leave of B. But this is wild strawberry. It's perfectly safe and completely edible, even the leaves. So wild strawberry, as you can see, it has 3 leaves, and they're all 3 pretty evenly centered around the top of the stem. The stem is hairy, as well as, going up onto the leaves, it's hairy. And the leaves have like a scalloped edge. See, I don't see any little berries on this guy, but they should start getting berries around this time now. June is around strawberry time. So let's see here. Hello, strawberry. How you guys doing? So last month these guys had gotten all their flowers. You can see little white flowers with 5 petals. They're so cute. Now you can take wild strawberry leaves and you can eat them just like regular strawberry. And they will grow little tiny strawberry fruits. They'll be a lot smaller and a bit more sour than the commercial variety we're used to. But they definitely are a fun treat while out hiking. You can eat the leaves. You can use them in tea. You can toss them in salad if you want. They make a really good calming tea. It's especially good for kids because it's very mild and kind of sweet. So yeah, this is strawberry. Oh, here's some more strawberry. Hello. Hello there, little strawberry friend. So yeah, this is wild rose. It smells, oh, it smells so sweet. It smells very good. You can see its leaves look very much like a commercial rose. It's got a bunch of opposite leaves. Then on the very end, it's got the one leaf of this on the stem. It's got thorns, so be careful. But yeah, there's wild rose. Oh, I don't know if it'll focus. Let me turn the camera around so it'll focus better. Now you can harvest wild rose and use them very similar to cultivated rose to make jellies and jams. I think usually you do jellies. You can make a rose water with them by distilling the rose petals. And then come late summer, early fall, you can get the rose hips, like after the first, actually it's not late summer, it's fall after the first frost. You can harvest the rose hips and use the rose hips in tea. They are very high in vitamin C. So the rose hips is the fruit of the rose. After the rose blooms, it'll get a big bulb right underneath there, where you can see where like the little green leaves are underneath the flower head. They'll get a bulb under there, and that will swell up and usually turn like red, and that'll be the rose hip. That is the fruit where the seeds are. If you don't wait until after the first frost, the rose hip can actually be very irritating and it can cause you to itch. That's how they can get itching powder in the old days, was from rose hips. So wait until after the first frost before you harvest rose hips. Otherwise, in the springtime and summer, you can harvest the flowers. And you can distill it, make some rose water. You can make some tea with them. You can make jellies. Toss them on top of some cakes, little pastries. Definitely a beautiful plant. Oh wow, look at all of these blackberries. All these blackberry flowers. These are beautiful. They do kind of look like a wild rose at first glance. It's got the 5 white petals, but it's the leaves and the stem that look very different. See, it almost is like the poison ivy leaf, where it's got the 2 close together and the 1 farther out. But it's got thorns on its stem. It's got a much thicker stem, usually reddish in color. Reddish or brown. Very thick stem. And it'll grow in big bramble thickets like this. Oh, hi, bee. Oh, goodbye, bee. Oh, here he is. Here he is again. Oh, look at that lovely guy. Hello. I'm very excited for when this comes to fruit late summer. So I will definitely be coming back here late summer and picking some of this beautiful blackberry fruit. So exciting. Look at all of it, so much of it there. Alright, and now this here, right on the other side of the walkway, so we've got our blackberries there, and right over here, this is raspberry. Now the difference between the raspberry is the vines are more blue, whereas on blackberry they're more red and brown. The leaves, again, look kind of similar to poison ivy. You've got the two close together, almost mitten shape. You've got the one long one. But poison ivy does not have thorns, whereas raspberries and blackberries do have thorns. So you want to be careful when touching the plant because they are spiky. And the flowers are smaller, definitely smaller and less showy than the black raspberry, or the blackberry. Let's see, you can see here, the older vines will be brown and the younger vines will be more blue. This is raspberry. Usually it's smaller too. Maybe focus. There we go. Yeah, this is a very cool plant, friend. Now I know raspberry canes, I'm not sure about blackberry, I haven't looked into that one yet, but I know raspberry canes, you can cut them and use them in tea. You use like the small leaves and stems. Use them in tea. It's very good for menstrual health, as well as at the end of pregnancy. They'll drink raspberry leaf tea because it helps strengthen and stimulate the uterus. So yeah, this makes a very good tea. As well as obviously the berries are delicious come late summer. So there's another cool plant friend. These lovely little yellow flowers here, this is wild mustard. Oh, let's let the camera focus. Ah well. So, wild mustard, you can actually take the tops here, the ones that aren't flowering yet. Come on, camera. Oh, I almost had it. There we go. You can take the tops here that aren't blooming yet, and if you pinch those off, you can eat those just like broccoli. They're in the broccoli family. You can see the leaves here. They grow with a leaf, and then you get a stem with a flower. So there's a leaf, stem with a flower, leaf, stem with some flowers. And these are the seed pods here. These little spiky bits. Oh, those look like some old flower petals that fell off. So these are a bit spicy. They can be quite spicy. So it's actually not best to eat them raw. You totally can, but again, they're a bit spicy and bitter. So it's best if you pinch the unbloomed tops off, and you can cook them like you do broccoli. You can steam them, you can pan fry them. Very cool plant. One I actually just recently learned about. You can see there's a bunch of it through here. All those yellow flowers. It's all wild mustard. So yeah, I'm getting quite eat up by mosquitoes out here right now, so I'm probably gonna head inside. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and got to learn about a bunch of plant friends. And yeah, make sure before you harvest any plant, you are very aware of your surroundings. Make sure you harvest ethically and sustainably. You know, only pick one, leave two. And make sure, you know, again, you're aware of your surroundings. Don't pick any plants that have been sprayed by chemicals or pesticides, because that'll make you sick. as well as make sure they're not near where any road runoff would be. You don't want any of the toxic runoff from cars and on the road and the grossness. So you want good healthy plants out in nature where they're nice and clean. And make sure you 100% completely accurately identify any plant before using. We don't want anyone getting sick. And yeah, make sure when you take your walks, tell us about any plant friends that you find. You could tag us at Taylor Community Library on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Tell us about your walk. Tell us about your plants that you found for the summer reading program. Alright, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.